there. Thank you for joining us for the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Kemi Foladeyemo. Today on the program, President Buhari orders reinstatement of Governor Obiano's security aides. Former President Jonathan challenges former EFCC boss Farida Waziri to name suspects whom she said the former president stopped their trial. And later on the program, Ali Ndume returns to the Senate. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Moji Jamil. Journalist Hangout starts now. It's good to have you join us again. So on Tuesday this week, Nigerians were shocked when they heard about the epic order of the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, withdrawing the security aids of the governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano. And to the Inspector General, the governor ought to be stripped of his security details to allow for a level playing field for others. But this was said to have not been in congruity with what should have been. So angrily, the Senate ordered that the governor's security aids be immediately reinstated. But that order didn't hold any water. The following day, Wednesday, President Buhari visited Anambra State and was received by the chief security officer of the state, who had no security details. It took the president's intervention before the governor's security aids could be reinstated. So we'll begin the conversation this evening as we ask now, what do you think played out, in all that drama before the president's intervention?
That was the Inspector General of Police demonstrating what Nigerians call high service. You are in office, you are not trying your best to be professional, you are trying your best to show that you are loyal. You put loyalty over professionalism. That's exactly what the IG did. The IG is someone that I like, but I'm terribly disappointed in the action that the IG took. And he was saying that in the past, those security aides will work for their master. If they don't work for their master, who will they work for? They will work for their enemies. Even if you recruit a fresh set of security men, you attach a fresh set of security men to the governor today, they will still work for the governor. In Nigeria, we do not learn from history. In 2011, all the DPOs in Lagos were changed because they were trying their best to ensure that Bola Tinubu did not retain Lagos. He changed all the DPOs. Okay, I think that was 2007. What happened? The policemen that were brought from different parts of Nigeria to Lagos, they still couldn't stop the ACN from winning the election. They couldn't stop. We couldn't stop them. What they wanted was, okay, the Tinubus of this world would have been so familiar with the DPOs in Lagos. They would have been so familiar with the Commissioner of Police in Lagos and even some of their aides. So they decided that, okay, let us change all of those people. But Tinubu is always one step ahead of these people. So even the people that they brought, the fresh policemen, couldn't stop the APC, the ACN at that time, from winning the election. And Fashola was elected. I remember that on the eve of that same election, the Commissioner of Police of Lagos State, who was close to his retirement, Arebame,
young,
they decided to transfer him. He was already close to his retirement. They decided to transfer him because they felt, oh, leaving this guy here will enable Tinubu and his people to win. But what did Tinubu do? Tinubu made Arebame the CEO of LASMA, and Arebame continued to work in Lagos State. So this kind of indirect or direct intimidation of political opponents is not what we need in Nigeria. I remember that even in 2011, politicians in Lagos State, in the ruling party in Lagos State, they had to go underground because they were looking for them to arrest, so that once you arrest these politicians, they will not be able to mobilize for their party on election day. You know it happened in Ekiti. When they say, oh, we are sending 20,000 policemen, we are sending this, it's all, in most cases, attempts to harass the opposition and ensure that there is no level playing field. You can imagine if they went into that election with Obiano's security aids taken away. Even if Obiano gets defeated roundly, he will have grounds, and some of his own supporters will keep saying, oh, Buhari came to the east to rig the election. Buhari, the APC could not have won without what they did. And Buhari was really smart. This is how, the Buhari we have now is a much older person to the Buhari who was a military ruler. So he's behaving now like a leader, I mean, like the father of all. And if I know this is wrong, return his security people. How do you do that on the eve of an election?
Well, despite the assertion on the part of the IG now that those details will be restored to the governor after the election on now on Sunday. But Majid, what do you think? What do you think now? Because the argument has also been pushed a little further to say, so when it is the time for presidential elections, would you now withdraw the security detail now of the president so he can go and vote and, like any other candidate?
No, I think the IG was only being overzealous. No doubt he's a man I like so much, but then I think he should talk less. I mean, when you are performing so well, especially the special squad is set up, headed by Abakari, that fantastic officer who has been busting a lot of crimes, who arrested Evans and also that the kidnappers along Abuja, Kaduna, Kogi axis. I mean, he has that fantastic track record of being able to identify them. But then, on the issue of election, you don't give opposition the room to say the federal government is using its federal might to muzzle out opposition. I mean, Anambra is very, very tense as we speak. You don't need to add to that tense situation. But then, in a characteristic manner of the police, they issued a statement earlier today saying that no, the guy was not withdrawn. They only invited him for questioning. I mean, we know these stories. This thing happened. The man had to.
They always find a lie to tell
us. They always find. Why must we wait till now to invite the ADC to Abuja? No, see, if Obiano will lose that election, like Jide said, let him lose on his own. Give him all the security. You see, all the security in this world will not help you to win an election. Yes. When
if you are destined to lose.
If you are destined to lose. That is just it. And we should not go back to those days where, like in Ekiti, a sitting governor, on about a week to election, right, a Mopo commander, Selenkere, or whatever his name was then, fired a tear gas at a governor at close range, and nothing happened, just because the federal might then in Abuja made up its mind that that election must be done. I mean, people must be intimidated to ensure that a particular candidate won. But we shouldn't go back to those days. And Buhari has demonstrated that by ensuring that, no, you can't do this. We are not in Zimbabwe. And even in Zimbabwe now, they are waking up there. So we must learn from history. When you hold public office today, remember that tomorrow you won't be there any longer. Right. And whatever you say today, especially the kind of directives you give, people will question those directives tomorrow, and it will be history.
All right. It appears that not many Nigerians are convinced now with the rationale of IG Idris now in, taking that order. But then he also went on to remove Garba Umar as Commissioner of Police in Anambra State. And then he brought 3 new commissioners of police now to head the 3 senatorial districts in Anambra, saying, okay, these people are, you know, very fresh. They don't know anybody. And so that there will not be any allegation or accusation of bias. How about that?
They always change commissioners of police on the eve of elections. It's a consistent strategy by the police to ensure that the new man does the job with even-handedness, you know, with objectivity and all that. But it's a mistake.
Even
because
that.
It's a waste of time. Because if you bring a policeman today, all that it takes is for us to talk eyeball to eyeball. See eyeball to eyeball. It will get to do my bidding.
Who are you anyway?
If I'm governor, if I'm the governor of the state,
all right.
You sent a new person. Look, there are some secrets that I know that I can't say here. Sometimes even before they send those people, the sitting governor already knows who is coming. Pour 1,000 new policemen into Lagos because you don't want Alliance for Democracy to win, or you don't want ACN to win. You are wasting your time. When they get here, they will be well received. And when they are well received, what you wanted them to do, they will not do. They will not do. So the police always changes these people. But at the end of the day, we still see policemen, we still see soldiers demonstrate partiality on election day. It doesn't stop them. Because if we look at the last election, for example, the last general election in Nigeria, they changed people. But we saw policemen, in some cases,
right,
rigging for particular parties.
In this particular instance,
rigging.
In 2015.
Yes, we saw soldiers, even in the election, the by-election in Rivers State, we saw soldiers thumbprinting. There are videos. So even after you brief these people, you told them, look, this is what I want you to do. You know, you are new in that place. Don't join them. It will still follow his mind because he wants his pocket lined. Politicians will always still find a way to bribe these people, to compromise the security agencies. So you read in the papers that, oh, they've sent 10 gunboats to Anambra. They've sent 20,000 policemen empty gas. At the end of the day, even those thousands of policemen will still not be able to stop rigging in some particular areas. They poured policemen into Bayelsa during the governorship election. But there were areas that were characterized by violence. And they had to do a by-election because of so much violence in some areas.
We'll stretch this further when we return from this quick break. Don't go away. You're watching Journalist Hangout.
My name is Abdullahi Umar Gannuji, the governor of Kano State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
Indeed, don't miss it. If you're just joining us, welcome to Journalist Hangout. Our first topic for discussion this evening is the President's directive that the security details of Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State be restored to him. And indeed, APGA has said that has been done. Well, Mojid, Jide was making a point earlier where he said, despite the moves by the IG now, you know, bringing in 3 new commissioners of police now across all the senatorial districts in Anambra State, not much difference or not much could be achieved now. But something interesting might just be playing out in Anambra. Of course, it's the opposition headed, and of course, the central government is in the ruling party, of course. So how do you agree with Jide?
Yes. And like I said earlier, Anambra is charged. It's right. It's like a 3-horse race between APC, PDP, and APGA. UPP, Chidoka might bring some surprise, but basically I think is going to be between those three main parties. But then, like I said, it's the person that has a comparative advantage that will win. If you bring all the policemen in Nigeria to that place, you can only rig where you have that sympathy, where you have people who want to support you. And for the policemen, I think what normally, I think the police should actually change their strategy. On the eve of election or a week to election, the commissioner of police is rested. They bring in 3 other commissioners of police to man the 3 senatorial districts, and, like and a DIG to now oversee all of them. But I've seen cases where the DIG they brought in a particular state just stayed in an hotel, was resting there, and they were sending him feeds. It is the commissioner of police who was on ground, who had been in that state, who was rested, that was telling them what I want to do, because you can't just come into a state, you don't know the area, you still defer to him. So what would have been a gain for the police is it might just fall apart. It's business as usual. You discover that even most of the policemen they will bring at the end of the day, they will end up at the barracks, staying there locked up in a place. They won't even have the transport to even take them to where
units.
You won't see policemen.
Yet you have read
so where
in the newspapers that 26,000.
Where are
so
they?
Where do they put them?
So it's all.
And then does it even conclude that elections will be free and fair as everybody's hoping for?
See, where people are minded to rig, they made sure that policemen are absent from those areas.
From those areas.
This is the style in Nigeria, so that their boys, their thugs will have a field day. That is where you now see thugs snatching ballot boxes and all that.
And where are the officers?
They will have
conveniently.
No, it's a strategy. They will have made sure that such areas have little or no security, so that their boys can have a field day. They will probably tell them on phone, please, don't send people to these areas. So it's a waste of time. When you hear that, 26,000 policemen sent to certain areas, they told us, even in the Edo election, that they were sending 20-something thousand policemen. Yet there was violence in some areas. Even our own reporters, they literally faced death. So then you now ask, where were the policemen, the 20-something thousand policemen posted to those areas? Nigerian politicians have found a way around these strategies that the police routinely come up with. So that is why I do not 15 gunboats to do what? An election? Elsewhere, do they militarize elections?
And also you discover that even in Rivers and Akwa Ibom, we had live footages of where people were snatching ballot boxes, where they are running away, and people, let's admit our very first caller this evening. Promise, you're joining us from Lagos. You're most welcome.
Hello, good evening.
You're welcome. Join in.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Promise. You're live.
Yes, this is Promise calling from Lagos.
All right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Promise, carry on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody there. I've been following your program since you started it. But Mr. Jide, please, I want to advise you for one thing. Every day I watch you on this program, you only talk about anything concerns PDP or whatever. Please, I want to advise you to stop deceiving some Nigerians, but not everybody or people like me. You talk about withdrawing police of you forgot what happened in Ondo State. We are 2 days or something like that to the election. The governorship aspirant of PDP was showing one thing or the other from the INEC or whatever the problem they have. Even at Edo State, something similar to that happened. But I never see you talk about all those ways. Anytime you talk, every time they bring issue. See,
maybe you didn't watch.
Don't you know that if you go to Anambra and go back without addressing that issue, honestly speaking, I don't think that election will be good. It's a political something.
All right, thank you very much, Promise.
Some of these,
but that's what we are not. But that is what we have been saying.
They do not watch when people sometimes criticize us.
To withdraw the police.
So because apparently he missed that point. That was like the very first
I'm always very fair to the
that we
PDP
addressed.
In fact, I've had people even wonder whether I'm a PDP supporter. I've been very fair to PDP. I try my best to be fair to Jonathan, fair to everyone. Because at the end of the day, it is my conscience that determines what I say here. But sometimes people will not watch. I've seen people even call to say, when this happened, what did you say about it? And I will remember that we had already talked about it.
Absolutely. I mean, we are three here. It's not just Jide that you're speaking to. All right, but let's carry on now. Of course, the 26,000, we are not unmindful of quote and unquote the security challenges in Anambra in the face of this lingering IPOB. Okay, fine, we tweeted the matter earlier in the week. Their clout may have reduced now, but earlier in the month they still went on to pass on leaflets urging people not to vote, and that even remains a worry. Will people even come out to vote? And will IPOB even strike? They said something even ahead of President Buhari's visit. So I guess that could also be another rationale for bringing in gunboats and the like.
Yeah, the police has that responsibility to ensure security of lives and property, especially at a very critical stage like a charged election, like I said earlier, as we have in Anambra on Saturday. So apart from the election, there is that they say the security threat from IPOB urging Anambrarians not to come out to cast their ballot on Saturday. But then they have been quickly reminded that, I mean, it's like a catch-22 situation. If you fail to vote, if the election fails to hold on election day, I mean, you could be inviting a state of emergency or anarchy. So they have that option, whether to continue to dialogue under a democratic dispensation or to have emergency rule forced on them. And mind you, IPOB has been outlawed. It's now a terrorist organization. So those the leaders in Anambra and the Southeast generally, I think they have a key role to play in ensuring that peace reigns in conjunction with whatever the police, because we have these police community relations committees and the traditional rulers. They must all join hands. It's not something the police can do alone. If you have 1 million policemen there, if there will still be violence on election day, there will be violence. But I think from the build up to the election, everything should be okay on Saturday, especially with the deployment of the police. But then what could have further hit up the polity has been reversed, I mean, through the intervention of the president by urging that, or rather by directing that the ADC of the governor, Obiano, is restored.
Be restored. But then, Jide, do you still see security as that much an issue in Anambra with all these concerns?
You see, I think that the claim that IPOB could constitute a big nuisance on the day is exaggerated. IPOB has lost the capacity to mobilize. The moment the Nigerian army descended on them, they stopped making public appearances. So, and I know that on election day, they are not going to constitute any form of disturbance. People still talk about a state of emergency. Nobody can impose a state of emergency in Nigeria anymore, especially a state of emergency that ensures that elected representatives of the people do not function. Obasanjo was imposing state of emergencies at that time with an antiquated law, a law that no longer exists, a 1963 law. But today, lawyers are aware. That was why when people suggested to Jonathan that he should impose a comprehensive state of emergency in the Northeast, he refused to do it. All the elected representatives of the people continue to function, the governor, the lawmakers, because Jonathan said he had since been advised that that law no longer existed. People like Falana came out to say that Obasanjo used an antiquated law. Nigerians, our eyes are open now. Illegalities, the sort of illegalities that happened under Obasanjo cannot happen under this government. And even Buhari will be advised appropriately before taking actions. So it cannot even get to a situation in which India and Anambra will have a state of emergency imposed on them because election will not take place. IPOB can stay away from an election. They are not in the majority in those areas. So the people will still get to exercise their franchise. They will elect the governor that they favor. So correct. I do not see any threat to this election at all. And it's not just because so many policemen have been drafted to the state, or 15 gunboats, as if it's warfare that we are engaging. All right. But I do not see any form of threat at all.
At all on Saturday. All right, so after this break that we're about to take now, it's a mission of separating facts from truth now, as former President Jonathan has dared former EFCC boss Farida Waziri to show proof that he indeed interfered in the operations of the anti-graft agency when she was heading that. We have that story and more in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout. So like we said, it's a mission now of separating facts now from the truth, or so to speak. Now, since the People's Democratic Party was kicked out of the ASU Villa in 2015, many Nigerians, had assumed that everything that has gone wrong with the country was all the fault of former President Goodluck Jonathan. He's been called printable names, and in the past 2 years, former President Jonathan has struggled in vain to defend his administration. Each time he tries, it's like the music gets louder. Last Sunday, a former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Farida Waziri, was reportedly quoted as saying then President Jonathan relieved her of her job because she was investigating one of the masterminds of the fuel subsidy scam. In a swift reaction, the former president decided to set the record straight, challenging Waziri to name the suspect. Mojid, I'm a bit lost now. Or how are you reading the timing and the purpose of Madam Waziri? Why is she saying all this now?
Well, you see, when somebody is already down, I mean, a lot of people tend to throw brickbats on that fellow. I mean, since Jonathan lost that election in 2015, a lot of stuff have been thrown on him, even those, I mean, both truths, half-truths, and entire falsehood. The man is down, no doubt about that. And the question is, why would Farida Waziri wait till 2.5 years after to come and tell Nigerians that she was removed because she was pursuing? Well, she actually said on Sunday in a newspaper interview that she didn't finish her term as EFCC chairperson then, that she was removed because she was getting very close to some fuel subsidy scammers that were linked to the former president. And I'm like, how? You see, but then for Jonathan too, I don't think he should reply to everything. Immediately, he went on Twitter and was firing salvos at...
Then Reno Omokri took it further.
Omokri took it further. I mean, for Jonathan, he should allow the Reno Omokris and Femi Fani-Kayode to continue to answer on his behalf. I mean, it's not every time the masquerade comes out to dance. And the moment the masquerade goes out every day or talks every day, then the masquerade will become...
lose its value.
Will lose the value.
But then it's in order if he will... assets must prove after all. So he says, okay, right, produce the names, and perhaps the FCC can, take that up.
I think that Madam Waziri merely took a cheap shot as controversy. Because, look, after you left office, after you were kicked out of the FCC, we've had years and years. And then Jonathan left. You now waited until 2.5 years after Jonathan left office to say this. Perceptive Nigerians will not take what he has said seriously. Not because Jonathan didn't run a corrupt administration. There was legalized banditry under Jonathan. No doubt about it. But the truth is, even Farida Waziri as EFCC chairperson was a failure. A monumental failure. When you compare what Magu is doing now, I may not agree with everything that Magu does, especially the media trial thing. I'm really irritated by some of what I read in the paper. Some of them, clearly they are not true, that EFCC deliberately puts out there. I may not like it, but you see, that is his own style. He thinks that with this media trial, he can force some of those thieves to bring what they have stolen so that the embarrassment on them will stop. That's his style. I do not quarrel with that style. But Madam Farida, the moment, because who appointed Farida in the first place? It was the Yaradua administration. And Yaradua, it was the Boris of this world. They came together and said, this is the person that we wanted. They terribly frustrated No Ribadu and brought a person that they knew would play their card. Under Farida Waziri, EFCC's partners and donor agencies refused to renew their partnership with Nigeria. Those foreign agencies that were funding the EFCC, they stopped having anything to do with us under Mama Farida Waziri. Under Mama Farida Waziri, Hillary Clinton on 2 different occasions complained that the anti-corruption war of Nigeria was not proceeding in the way it should proceed. Under Mama Farida Waziri, the agencies abroad that were helping to train EFCC officials, they stopped having anything to do with us because they saw clearly that these people had not come to fight corruption. Under Mama Farida Waziri, we had Ibori escaping jail in Nigeria with the aid of that famous judge, Awokuleyin. It was under Farida Waziri that all this happened. In fact, it was when Jonathan took over that the Britons piled pressure on us. Because I remember that Wandoka claimed that, look, there is really no treaty, no legal whatever treaty between us. It was just because the Britons wanted to activate that treaty so that they can deal decisively with James Ibori. But it was frustrated.
Farida reign now that she was able to seal the Ibru conviction?
No.
But then can we also, look about...
What we need to do is look at the
check up.
People will come up. I know that Ibori and Jonathan had a big problem because Ibori never respected Jonathan. In the administration of Yaradua, the only nominee into the cabinet from Jonathan was Elder Orubebe. And it took serious begging before Ibori allowed him to produce Elder Orubebe. Even if you read Segun Adeniyi's book, Adeniyi was in the corridor of power. Adeniyi explained that Jonathan had been turned to somebody who just wakes up and reads newspapers. He's there. After the moment Jonathan seized power, Ibori knew that he was in trouble.
He took off.
So don't give Mama Farida credit that she does not deserve. I laid this background because some of these things, we have done stories about some of these things. Those who, they stopped having anything to do with the EFCC because they could see clearly that she was not doing it well. What are we even talking about? Who were the people that she could have put on trial. When Jonathan was in office, the trial of oil subsidy thieves began under Jonathan.
Right.
Yeah.
It began under him. And eventually, they secured conviction. So this is just a cheap shot at controversy by an EFCC chairperson, that when you consider what Magu has done within this short time, you will see that Mama Farida was clearly not doing anything.
All right. Well, it's good you helped in putting all that into perspective. And of course, not forgetting the unfortunate fact now that Reno Mokri is also harping on about Nigeria's downgrade in the ranking now of corrupt nations now, while still under Madam Farida Waziri's watch. But then, Moshood, let's also look at, former President Jonathan going further to say this former EFCC chairperson now coming out now with all that has happened now must have been paid, so to speak. Is there any source to that?
You see, for Jonathan, I think he has every right to go after Farida Waziri, because, like Jide said, Farida had a very lackluster tenure as EFCC chair. I mean, the way she came there through, she was like nominee of Anduaka and Ibori. They just put him there to rubbish. That was when they sent Ribadu to police college. I mean,
NIPS.
Okay,
he came from police college indeed,
yeah,
and
so
then was sent on to NIPS,
Nigeria Institute of Politics and Strategic Studies, Kuru just. So
they knew Ribadu would not be
under Farida Waziri, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, DFID, the Department of Foreign Investment in the UK, Ford Foundation, EU Funds Summit, all of them halted their support for fighting corruption in Nigeria, because they were not convinced that that money was being judicially spent. You can imagine, how can the EFCC prosecute a case, 250 count charge against James Ibori in Nigeria, and
170, but then you
from 250 down to 150
on the same evidence in Nigeria.
And that was what was used in.
Went to UK. This same man had to plead. He had to file a plea
of guilt.
He pleaded guilty. To hasten the.
Right, so there was no need for trial.
So, I think Jonathan, give this to him. I mean, if no matter the attack he piles on Farida through himself and Reno Mokri, he has every justification. But then, oftentimes, as an elder, I mean,
just let it go.
You let
but it's
go.
game
because
on.
Nigerians know who is saying the truth or not. Why is he taking Farida? Farida is apparently looking for something. Some people would have told her, Madam, you need to talk, or just say something. This is the time to talk. We are approaching 2019. A lot of calculations are coming up.
Who knows? She was also lying then. She was also lying then that no Ribadu took away files. When people were asking, why wouldn't you prosecute some of these people? She claimed that no Ribadu took away some of the files.
This same Magu was the one handling some of it. He was punished.
They were punished. Lamrode was sent to somewhere in Bauchi State.
Let's take a pause, please, gentlemen. Jimmy is joining us also from Lagos. Thank you very much. Carry on, please.
Yeah, good evening. Please, Jide and your colleague, I want to put a question across to you, both of you. Please, you have the opportunity to look into the EFCC Act. Tell me, is it mentioned there that it's only the Northerners can be the head of EFCC? Please advise me, tell me.
All right, Jimmy. What? All right, Jimmy. Of course, that cannot be in the laws. That's whoever will head. But well,
if we answer that kind of question, then an Hausa Fulani person can also ask that: is it written anywhere that an Hausa Fulani should not head ICPC?
Yeah.
Because it has never happened.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's Southerners.
Southerners.
Apart from the Baba from Iloni.
Yeah.
It's Southerners who have been heading ICPC.
Even you can, that one is it's neither here nor there because his name is Justice Akanbi.
Akanbi is a title in Yoruba.
Akanbi is a title in Yoruba.
I hope you're satisfied, Jimmy. Let's carry on. Except if there is something else we can, use to tie that, that aside now to what we are discussing. Like I said earlier, it's game on now. He has thrown it over to Madam Waziri. If the former president, if the former president doesn't have to reply to everything, but now, history will not be kind to Waziri if she, ignores.
Let Madam Waziri tell Nigerians who those fuel subsidy thieves were that had links with the former president. I mean, this is the time for her to. She can't just give us half-truths. She's
finish
protected.
This, finish what she started.
Jonathan,
she must finish it.
The son of a former chairman of the PDP was put on trial.
Yeah.
Saka is joining us. Apologies, gentlemen. Saka, you're live for us. You're live for us. Thank you for joining us from the US.
Yeah. Good morning.
Oh, it's morning there.
Good
evening to you.
Good morning, Mr. Good morning, Mr. Jide.
Well, we are in evening here.
Evening, yeah. Yes. Mr. Jide, Mr. Mojid, I quite enjoy your. Please, I would like you to talk to Mrs. Farida Waziri. She has no more justification to come out now and be talking to Mr. Jonathan like that. What has she been doing since last 4 to 5 years that she couldn't say anything, and she's now coming out to say something like that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All the best. Thanks a lot for joining us again. Well, let's wrap this up. Let's just wrap this up. Final words from you, Jide, however short.
I think that
you said you want to know the name of this individual.
I am interested in knowing, and nobody will put her on trial if she mentions those people, because I know that even the Minister of Aviation, Jonathan, sacrificed her for corruption. One of the closest people to him was Urubebe. Urubebe was put on trial by the what was it called, the Code of Conduct Tribunal. So there were people that were also tried for corruption under Jonathan. So it's not that Jonathan didn't even do anything about corruption. Go and read what Femi Falana said, that under Jonathan, corruption was punished. Some of his own friends were punished for corruption. Femi Falana said that. People can go and see it. So not that he didn't do anything at all, but you see a man who is down, just like Mojib said, people will seize the opportunity to keep him where he is. Right. But you remember one newspaper claimed that Jonathan had fled to exile. And Jonathan came back a couple of days after that to show that he didn't run to exile. Yeah. No matter how bad that man was, because he was a weak leader, no doubt about it, which is bad enough, a weak leader. But I don't think Jonathan as an individual is as bad as some people are trying to portray.
All right, a perfect note to drop this, gentlemen. But then we are not done, because 7 months after this particular person's suspension, that's the whistleblower in the Senate, talking about Ali Ndume. Well, of course, he resumed his duties as a lawmaker on Wednesday. When the infamous decision was made, journalist Hangout notably condemned this in all ramifications, declaring it illegal when even our position seemed unpopular at the time. And then last Friday, Federal High Court in Abuja reaffirmed our position, directed the Senate to ensure prompt payment of Ndume's salaries and allowances. So for 7 months, Borno South Senatorial District had no representation at the Senate. The voices of constituents were suppressed in what is a most barbaric manner. Senator Ndume will get his salaries and allowances, but the question is, how about those who perpetrated this illegality? Of course, we know that the case has also developed further now. The Senate is appealing via, of course, through Michael Zekome, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, going on, of course, to attach a stay of execution order that will make them not have to pay, all the monies that Ndume missed during his absence. And then, of course, we can say that things may not see how he resumed yesterday. I mean, what do you call that, a snub or what?
You see, for Ndume is a man they have tried to curtail him, and you know when he resumed, you know what he said? He said he has just one agenda now, and that and that agenda, whistleblowing wouldn't be part of it. He says he's going to face his constituents. You see, that Senate is Saraki. You either do his bidding or they put you where you belong. And it is unfortunate. It is rather unfortunate. But then, let's see where the appellate court, I have a feeling the case might still get to the Supreme Court, because it's a disservice to the constituents of Borno South. They don't have that power ab initio to even suspend that man for more than 14 legislative days. I think they went on to 180. 181 legislative days. But I think they are allowing reason to prevail, because they could hide under the pretext that, well, the case is still in the court. They might not allow him to come back. But then he has
made sure, and he's a lawyer, he made sure he put that without prejudice to the court proceedings. That
is it. So it's like a lot of underground work is going on to allow him to come back, but then they must have been warned that, Senator, when you go back there, there's no more whistleblowing. And that's why he said, for now, his main priority is his constituency. But I don't think it is good for our democracy in a situation where nobody can stand up and have an opposing view to what the Senate President or the likes of Melaye and Ekweremadu, we have an opposing view to whatever they have in mind.
But it does give you a sense, you know, of, you know, is it the power the Senate leadership wields either under Saraki or another person now? Because as illegal as many people have found all the drama, you know, subjecting him to suspension and then, you know, and then all that, for him to have still you know, sat it out, you know, all through the days of suspension.
That should tell you how determined these guys can be. When you go against the Senate President, that Senate is his house. You know, it's his yard. You know, so like an alpha male in a yard, he doesn't allow any other lion to get close. So he treats that Senate as his yard. So nobody can hold contrary opinion, because what did this guy do? What he did was, the Senate rules, Order 14 and 15 says that anything that appears to diminish the Senate or bring the Senate to disrepute, we have a right, the senators have a right to do something to address it.
Yeah, to raise a point of order.
You know? So, and he said, let us defend ourselves so that we will look clean in the eyes of Nigerians. But because he had offended them 1 or 2 times, so for them that was the tipping point. They had to do what they did to him. But I'm happy about what he said when he went to visit the Emir of Biu. He said, my religion enjoins me to always stand on the path of the truth, even if I turn around and I found that everyone has deserted me. That's what Ali Ndume said. So my advice is, keep saying the truth. Nigerians know who their heroes are. They know, and the outpouring of love for this senator when he was on suspension was huge.
Yeah, but his image out there is not exactly squeaky clean. Many still, you know, talk about, you know, his the alleged Boko Haram affiliations.
Let people prove it. It's just like people saying, oh, this person stole billions.
And let the court also prove it.
I know a man in Nigeria who has only one house that took him 12 years to build. And they accused that man of stealing stealing billions. But in the end, the court freed him. The court freed him. I'm talking about the former principal secretary of Obasanjo. What's this man's name again? Oronsai. One house, 12 years. He took a loan from Union Homes, yet they accused him of stealing billions. I said publicly that this man will be freed by the courts. And that's what happened. The courts ruled that Oronsai had no case to answer. They couldn't prove it. People can say all kinds of things, but can they prove what they say? So talk is cheap. You can say this person is the biggest thief in Nigeria. Can you prove it when you get to court? So proving it is a different kettle of fish. So Ndume has acquitted himself well. I'm happy that he's back in the Senate. What we want to see, he said that he's happy because he wanted the courts to show to him whether what he did was wrong or not.
He didn't do it for any personal reason.
Yes, and the courts have shown that what he did was not wrong. We don't want these people to be suspending lawmakers again. They suspended Jibrin and succeeded in chasing him out of Nigeria. Yeah. So it shouldn't be happening. Those constituents out there, it is their fundamental right to be represented.
All right. I'm afraid time is up. Perhaps a final word from Mojeed now. Even as, you know, there's also some reactions that he's going on for the Lesser Hajj in Saudi Arabia, talking about Senator Ndume.
Yeah, well, he needs to go and freshen up and
say thank you
and strategize and say thank you to God for allowing him to come back.
Does he need that much time? What was he doing before then?
Well, he was busy chasing. He needs to go and say through. Yes, he needs to go and thank God for at least allowing him to come back.
It's a religious obligation. We can't quarrel with him for going on Lesser Hajj. And he has chosen the right time to go.
All right, we'll see how his resumption, you know, pans out, you know, following, will I say, or what is being seen as a cold shoulder from the Senate president yesterday.
If I was in Saraki's shoes, I would have said no. Because look, the Senate had already done that 1 minute silence for Isiaka Adeleke. You were not there. You can't come back several months after and demand that they should do another minute silence. Yeah. So it was ridiculous.
It's fair enough anyway.
Like taking them back.
You alone, you want to just...
and it's anyway, it's also record worthy anyway that he had to, you know, more or less lay a premise now for all that. At least Nigerians have also noted that. Well, folks, that is it on Journalists Hangout this evening. A big thank you to Babajide and, of course, Mojeed. Thanks a lot for all your inputs this evening and for making this session so interesting. Well, join us again as we, of course, will bring you another interesting edition of the program, the last for the week, tomorrow. Well, you can watch a repeat broadcast tonight at 11. Watch again on all our other platforms now, showing on the screen on YouTube. It's youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Don't forget our feedback channel remains Journalists Hangout at tvcnews.tv. Thanks a lot for keeping us company. I am Kemi Foladeyemo. Bye now. God bless Nigeria.